Alright, we're back for the first time in a while actually playing live Magic. Of course, we're going to be sticking with Burn, as we haven't played any Modern in video form in quite some time, so I figured we'd get used to the format again. Going to try to stream on Sunday evenings, wife permitting, but figured we'd try to give this a go again, at least starting with Sunday nights and then kind of going from there as to if we stream more in the future, but going to try to at least consistently do Sunday nights. So starting out with a version of Boros that is very similar to the last version I played because, well, the deck doesn't seem to change all that much. So this one I like very much because it's just a 4-4-4, 4-4 for everything, and the sideboard is 3-3-3-3-3-3-3. So very simplistic. Get a feel for how the format feels for Burn. You know, you're just sticking with the 4 Goblin Guide, 4 Monastery Swift Spear, along with the 4 Eidolons that have traditionally been the hallmark of the Burn deck, and obviously Bolt and Spike, as well as 4 copies of Searing Blaze, which is a card that I wasn't very high on last time out we played, but give it a run and see how it feels, and then 4 Rift Bolt, 4 Skewer the Critics, see if we notice missing either Skull Crack or Lightning. I guess we do have 4 Lightning Helix in the deck, never mind. See if we do notice if we miss Lightning Skull Crack in this main deck. I don't really notice a whole lot of life gain in the format other than some of the arbitrary stuff that you see, you know, like stuff like Omnath or, you know, Shadow Spear out of Hammer Time. So I'm not seeing a ton of like particular hate targeted towards Burn. So I feel like it might be in an okay place, although once again, losing Luris and the deck having not really gotten any true updates in a couple of years kind of starting to hurt the deck as it hurts a lot of decks in the Modern format. That said, let's hop into a league and see how this goes. This hand seems reasonable, although it is going to be quite painful with 2 Sunbay Canyons and a fetch land. Do have a couple of bolts and a skewer as well as an Eidolon, so this hand seems perfectly reasonable. Sucks to be on the draw, but yeah, can't be on the play in every game of Magic, so make the best of it, see what happens. Up against an opponent named Fish Plays. In the dark I'd say Merfolk, but probably not, because it's been a long time since I've seen somebody play Fish. We are definitely keeping this hand against Blackcleave Cliffs. So maybe Jund Ragavan? Maybe Death Shadow of some stuff? I have no idea. Seem to be against a very deliberate player, so turn 1 Thoughtseize, sure, why not? And we automatically draw another land. The all access tokens currently in play, so you might see a lot of fancy decks that you wouldn't otherwise see. Okay, Croxa. So we can easily pitch one of our lands, probably Sunbay Canyon. Wouldn't be surprised if we're up against Death Shadow, but well, Eidolon's not terrible there. Thoughtseize Bug says what? Why would they shock in to play Torok? That doesn't make much sense. Well, that makes it easy. Opponent took way too much damage. May not be familiar with the burn matchup with whatever they're playing. Looks like they're on black-red midrange of some kind. Could be Grixis. Sanctifier is probably pretty decent against them. Path might be okay, although with as much discard as they have, it's kind of debatable. Searing Blaze is probably kind of questionable here. I think we'll shave 2 Blaze and 1 Helix. And then kind of wait to see what they're on before we board in the path. Besides, I like to keep our mana curve as intact as possible. So, not something you think of when you're boarding in and out with Burn, but it is nice to keep your mana curve as intact as possible. So, a glut of too many 2-mana spells can cause problems. Messian's pretty reasonable. Maybe not the best in this particular matchup, as we know our opponent's playing a lot of discard and probably removal, but, you know. 3 lands, obviously not ideal. Prefer 2, but okay. Well, it looks like they're just on black-red rock. May not even be a Death Shadow deck with the copies of Blackcleave Cliffs in the main deck. Croxa kind of sucks, but I guess we can pitch. Looks like they're not even playing Croxa this turn. Okay. They're dashing a Ragavan. Okay. Do they play the Lava Spike? It really feels like they should if they've gone through all that trouble just to dash a monkey. Chalice is an interesting one. Doesn't really seem like their deck can afford to play Chalice, but here they are. If I were them, I would pitch the Chalice here, but apparently they're intent on keeping it, so sure. Commenting to my opponent, that's a very odd choice for them to bring in, given their deck. Because the only reason you'd bring in Chalice would be for, like, Rhinos and such. I really don't think it's particularly smart in this matchup. Because they have just as many 1-mana plays, if not more than we do. Like, they could set it on 2, but they still run some number of 2s like Croxa and such, so... So their hand right now is Chalice, Croxa. Oh, they can play Eidolon if they really want to, if they have a land drop. Chooses not to play an Eidolon. They dash the monkey, I think I'm 100% blocking. Because then they're taking 2. They're losing the monkey. They play Croxa. What am I pitching? So they go to 10 with the fetch. Go to 8. And then... I think we just take this hit. Took a Sacred Founder off our deck. So if they want to play any Croxes or anything, they have to take the damage. Chalice on 1's not going to do anything for you, friend. Other than give you 2 more damage you really don't need. Chalice on 2 would have been much worse for us. And now the Ragavan's just useless. And then let's just finish this. They've locked themselves out of playing any spells, so. Alright, nice to get a match win in match number 1. Back here for match number 2. Hand seems perfectly fine, but we are on the draw. So Murktide. Yep, looks like Murktide. Let's go ahead and bolt the monkey. They could have a second monkey that they dash, but I'm not interested in playing with Spell Pierce and nonsense, so Dimir Shredder, sure. I haven't actually played against the Ledger Shredder version, so this should actually be fairly interesting. Takes 2. Yikes. Okay. Make sure we don't actually cast 2 spells where we can help it. Our opponent doesn't get extra connive triggers. Looks like our opponent's going to cast a Murktide. So we're taking 3 this turn. I believe we can play around with Spell Pierce here, and I'm not going to respect Force of Negation, so this game should just be over. Alright. So Murktide, the cards you could argue bringing in Deflecting Palm, you can argue bringing in Sanctifier on deck, and you can argue bringing in Path to Exile. The problem becomes is, like, Path is pretty reasonable, Deflecting Palm is, like, okay, but not great against a heavy counterspell deck. Sanctifier, I used to auto-include when it was pre-Ledger versions, just simply because it turned Darcy and Ragavan into kind of a joke. First card out is usually Boros Charm in a creature-based matchup. I might go down a couple of Eidolons on the draw, simply because, and then just bring in these 6. Like, I could bring in Palm, but I don't know. Definitely bring in these 4. Since we're playing a little bit more of a back foot game, maybe I'll just bring in 2 Palms and kind of hedge my bets here. Four-lander just ain't gonna cut it. Okay, well, that's how you lose some games with burn sometimes. Going to 5. This hand is perfectly acceptable. The back, Lava Spike, and Rough Bolt, I guess. Automatically draw a third land. It seems to be on more of a reactive hand, which might give us more time to get back into this game. One card to be aware of they might bring in is Blood Moon. Generally, it's not very good against Burn, but this particular hand it would get us pretty good. Okay, that's a reason to hold on to a land. So let our opponent do their thing. Okay, Dashing Monkey. Go attacks first. Yeah, at least they can't cast Sect Fire. That would have been a great card to come off the top for us. Especially since they're tapped so low here. Never a good sign when the Burn player has to use some of their resources on a creature like that, so. Notably, our opponent's on the Archmage's Charm build rather than Seasoned Pyromancer or anything like that, so that is something to note. They don't seem to have a Murktide quite yet. And they don't seem to be playing into casting Blood Moon, so. Engineered Explosives on 1. Once again, take the opportunity and just kill their threat. Oh, so they connive, and yeah, let's just move on. That was dumb on my part. Okay, let's just go ahead and path this, get rid of it. Only if our opponent has a Murktide, but it's also kind of whatever. Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's the problem when dealing with Murktide in these like kind of weird longer games where we're not applying any pressure. Is inevitably they're just going to draw something like Expressive Iteration and just kind of go off from there. You know, while they can't outgrind something like 4-color Elementals or 4-color Omnath, they can kind of outgrind us. So, especially when we're they're drawing a lot of lands, we're drawing a lot of lands. It's not like either player is... Yeah, they've seen already almost half their deck, so... Let's just move on. Our hand's just too overloaded with stuff right now. So how much do we want to revisit our sideboarding? More interested in having the Eidolons in on the play. Maybe cut the deflecting palms on the draw. Can I go like that? This game seems fine overall. Burns better starts, depending on how our opponent's draw lines up against it. We automatically hand them a painless land, seems good. Okay. He blocks a Goblin Guide, that's fine. Spell Pierce, something to be aware of. Dimir Shredder. Catch one of our Sacred Foundries here. I'm playing around Spell Pierce here. That goes to 2. Expressive Iteration. Mishra's Bauble, sure. This should guarantee a win here. Nice. Nice start to this league so far. Alright, we're here for match number 3. 2 landers, but none of them are white sources, but we want any white spells. So I keep Okay. So Murktide again. Force them to use a removal spell on it. Okay, they're definitely not Murktide. Looks like Shadow, maybe. No, Shadow doesn't play Blackleaf Cliffs. So, some type of Grixis build. Oh, just no counterspell. Expressive Iteration, sure. Acquisition of Kozilek. Nothing really in our hand that's different. I mean, I guess Lava Spike makes the most sense just from a delayed damage standpoint. Otherwise, I can like unload these 3 spells in a turn. So I guess that makes sense to take. Spend the Rift Bolt and pass. Crack the Fiery Islet during our next turn. Obtaining Indulgence. It's going to be a draw 2, discard 1. Opponent's looking for some action if they're doing this main phase. What did they pitch? Cards on Holy Heat. It's Expressive Iteration, sure. Blackleaf Cliffs. Alright, so the opponent will have no plays this turn. Swift Spear, not terrible. Is that lethal? I don't think it's quite lethal. It's definitely a lot of damage though. Down to 1. 1 is not 0 though. Apparently they think it is. Alright, so Grixis stuff really doesn't tell us a lot about our opponent. They're playing copies of Trying Not to Laugh at My Wife, who's sitting in the corner of the room, trying not to chuckle too loudly. But Sanctifiers might be alright. Beyond that, I don't really know what our opponent's got going on over there. Like, obviously they're Grixis stuff, but they don't look like they're Death Shadow. So, what are they? Ragavan, DRC, Croxa, Ledger Shredder? Would be my guess. That in mind, maybe I want a Singleton Path. Go down like 2 Boros Charms, 2 Searing Blazes, depending on how many 1-drops and stuff they have. Sand's pretty good overall, so we're definitely keeping. A little bit awkward against the turn 1 Dodo Bird again, but pay no attention to the snickering behind me. Think she was trying to eat some M&Ms and started choking on them, would be my guess. Right?
Huh?
Started eating some M&Ms and started choking on them?
Because you told me I was snickering. I wasn't snickering before that.
I said you were trying not to snicker.
I wasn't trying not to.
And the most entertaining part of the game is your wife trying not to laugh.
I can't find your live stream.
It's on Twitch, dear. It's
I
not.
I can't find it.
It's not on YouTube. All right. Our opponent. Oh, they can cast an Eidolon. Actually, no, they can't. Never mind. Okay, and they're casting Crackbird. Got it. Which one of these two is more concerning? Kanai Bird or... I think we actually have to kill Leisure Shredder? Question mark? Nah, we'll just kill Ragavan. Because one gives them card quality, the other one gives them actual cards off the top of our deck, which could hit a Lightning Helix and, like, undo half of our hand, so... something to consider. It's actually a tough one, whether we're supposed to kill Ledger Shredder before it gets bigger, or if we're supposed to kill Ragavan. Our opponent very clearly mistapped here if they were planning on casting 2 spells. One downside of Sunken Ruins is you have to filter the... They took Skewer the Critics. Interesting. One nice thing about Riftbolt is it makes it really... Oh boy. Unless they're a shadow deck, that's not a good sign for them. Feels like we're gonna win by default. Suspend Riftbolt and pass. We have no incentive here to attack because, well, if our opponent is able to cast 2 spells, then they get to kill the Eidolon for free. Of course, they take 4 damage, so maybe that wouldn't be so bad. I think we'll cast the Helix, see if we can force some action out of them with, like, counter spells or something. We're going to 4. Just pass, no reason to cast anything. This is where it's very nice to be the burn pilot, is kind of forcing your opponent to make the decisions and choices. Looks like they're just Grixis good stuff. I wish we'd seen more of their deck, but alright, and our opponent concedes. Alright, back for match number 4. We are on the play. Pretty solid hand. One drop creature and Eidolon will follow up spells. So probably lead on basic mountain here. It's always interesting with leading off with burn with what land you're supposed to play first. Mountain obviously we take a little bit less damage, plus we keep the fetch land for a Searing Blaze later. Basic island to go against Underworld Cookbook. That's truly scary. It's bad news for us if our opponent's able to make a bunch of food and stuff, so we need to try to get them dead quickly. Okay, it doesn't look like they have Daredevil, so that at least. Are they just gonna crack for life gain right now? No. Taking a bobber. It goes to 10. Going to kill Asmo, force them to discard something here to kill something. Presuming they'll kill Eidolon, yeah. I was gonna say, they have Force of Negation on top of everything else? That's truly terrifying. Unfortunate if you were to die this turn, opponent. Missed something on that? Clue, food, or treasure token. Sacrificed. Okay, did I miss how they were able to... I am thoroughly confused about what just happened. You have treasure tokens, apparently. Sanctifier doesn't seem like the matchup. Vortex, they do have some 0-drops in their deck. I guess Sanctifier would get around some of their nonsense, like Bull Chase Daredevil and such. Smash seems like a decent inclusion. Maybe shave 2 Searing Blazes. Now we need Vortex in this matchup because we can't fight through that much life gain. We cannot fight through that much life gain. Okay, we have Vortex, probably good enough. Need to get the Rift Bolt out of our system before we play the Vortex. Okay. Dimir Shredder, sure. Not sure what the white splash is for. Maybe prismatic ending? Doesn't seem like they're playing a bunch of counter spells. It's like an Urza. I don't think they have any ways to gain life and instant speed, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do this, and if you have Force of Negation, you take 5 anyway, so you're dead. Nice for a start. Alright, we are on the draw again. This hand's pretty solid, although very, very painful, so Double Sunbay Canyon is not the ideal draw for lands. Murktide again? No, definitely not Murktide. Grixis Shadow, perhaps? No. Counterspell. Interesting. A lot of Grixis decks. I wonder if there was a Grixis deck that did well this weekend or something. Dimir Shredder. Into things and stuff. Okay, we're up to 8. Take an Indulgence. We'll discard a Delta. And they Thoughtseize us. Well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Okay. Cling Dust. Unfortunate. So we play on. Alright, and our opponent concedes. If it's a creature, you gain their life, otherwise. Three of those. Palm's a little slow. Smash, obviously not the matchup for this. Vortex, I mean, they do have Cling to Dust, but we don't know how many copies. Path to Exile is also a consideration. Maybe go down 4 copies of Boros Charm, 2 copies of Eidolon in the draw. Well, this doesn't answer Ledger Shredder. It, you know, it's immune to pretty much the rest of their deck, so hand seems pretty reasonable. Turn 1 island, go. We're at least getting in for 1 here. Go and attack here, see if they kill anything. They do not. Pass turn. Sure. Play this, See if they have an answer yet. Turok's not particularly interesting, but they have Spell Pierce, they have Spell Pierce, it's kind of whatever here. Apparently the answer is no. Alright. You know, I really wish my other runs with Burn of late had been that successful, but I don't know. This was a weird league. Yeah, Last God, it's kind of ironic. I haven't picked up Burn in literally months, and then it just easily clicks a 5-0. So, as far as a wrap up with the deck, I've really got nothing. You know, I haven't played enough Burn lately to really know what the correct sideboarding is and everything. So, you know, it was nice to get a 5-0, but beyond that, so. Figure we're going to try to start streaming Sunday evenings at the very least, as my wife is sitting here making faces at me in the chair next to the computer. But, yeah, I want to thank everybody that was hanging out in the chat tonight, and hopefully this will get to be a bit more of a regular thing. So, anyways, this has been John for MTG Nexus. Hope to see you in the next stream and the next video.